Okay, so you've spent some time experimenting, and now what we're going to do is create your actual portrait, or start to create your actual portrait. You're going to go through the same process as you have been through previously in terms of opening a new Photoshop file. So you need to open a new Photoshop file. Sorry, I went to open, I should have gone to new. You're going to open a new Photoshop file. And the options of where you can select the width and the height of the Photoshop file. We're going to use the same width and height as we've done previously. So your width is going to be 29.7 centimeters. Make sure if you've selected the drop-down menu, you've selected centimeters. And your height is going to be 42 centimeters. So that is an A3 piece of paper. That's the size of an A3 piece of paper. Where you get an option to select resolution, it normally says 72. I would like you to delete that and put 250. So 250 pixels per inch. That is making the image clearer and will have a higher resolution, which means if you zoom in, it will be clearer than 72 pixels per inch, which is what it was before. And click OK. So you're trying all the time to recall the different steps that you went through from the previous videos. So double clicking on the lock of the background layer to unlock it is the first step that you're going to do. I still want this layer to be called background because that is going to be a very background layer. So double click in order to try and change the name of the layer, and then I'm going to call it background. I would like you to now create 4 more layers to begin with. You are going to name those layers the things that you want to include on those layers. So if you want to include dots as part of your pattern, one layer would be called dots. If you wanted to include little mini basketballs to create a pattern, because your inspirational sportswoman is a basketball player, then you would title that layer basketballs. So at the moment we're just thinking about the pattern in the background layer of your image. If you're not sure how that is going to look or what you're going to do, then go to Google and look at some more Lini Zulu images. Find an image that you want to use as your inspiration. You might change the ideas in the background, the patterns in the background, but we are using her work as a reference all the time. I'm sorry, my internet has just crashed. So we're using her work as a reference all of the time. So do you want to include small elements of pattern like leaves and dots and dashes? Do you want your background to be completely covered in pattern? Do you want your background to have different shapes and different colours? As I said, some of the backgrounds, if you want it to reflect a bit more in terms of who your inspirational sportswoman is, within the patterns that you create, you could include little basketballs, little tennis rackets, little tennis balls. I'm trying to find an image, but this is a good example in terms of the shapes that are created in this background. If you didn't want them to be shapes, if you wanted them to represent something, then your layer in Photoshop would need to indicate that. So, basketballs, wiggly shapes, circles, triangles, leaves, whatever it is that you're going to include in the background, 4 layers entitled with what you're going to put on those layers. Go.